Okay, it looks really sketchy with the sky. I don't think it's gonna rain because you can kind of see the sunlight coming out way back there. It's probably not gonna be fully sunny. It was kind of cool yesterday though. Like basically all of a sudden it just was sunny. I think that's the good thing about having the portable drones. You just never know what the situation's gonna be. I'm finding so far even trying to get basic shots just going sideways is actually really hard. Maybe it's just the Mavic, but it seems like when you go say right, for example, or left really fast, the camera kind of tilts so you can't actually get like a straight shot, which kind of is unfortunate. Speaking of drones, I read a ton of drone stuff today. Potentially what the new laws are going to be here in Canada anyways. And as well, people that are considering do-it-yourself drones, like people that actually build them, not buy them off the shelf, they're considering them potentially too dangerous, I guess, for people to use. Like, that's kind of interesting. How about we start with this one first, since a lot of us are still waiting for the new drone regulations, at least for here in Canada. It says, Drones 101. Calgary lawyer says laws confusing but clarity on the horizon. Transport Canada regulates safe airspace use. They are not regulating every single aspect of drones. A Calgary lawyer who specializes in emerging technologies like unmanned aerial vehicles, which are commonly called drones, says while the current drone laws are confusing, there are amendments coming this spring that could make things a lot clearer. So they say spring. I was actually hoping they would announce something around like the beginning of the year here. But I guess we'll have to wait till spring. Maybe they know something that we don't. Essentially, they talk about how not everyone probably understands the regulations fully, like just for recreational flyers, and they make the point here specifically saying a drone is considered an aircraft under the regulations, and so the operator is then considered a pilot. Now, for the part specifically about what they're not regulating, like they don't regulate everything, they're talking about specifically about the privacy issues again. And it says there's no specific drone privacy laws. Any law that we currently have in place can apply to a drone. So you could end up with a different kind of criminal charges or civil lawsuits. Interestingly enough, they used the example of that Calgary man that was charged for flying in a national park. And they basically just say, bottom line is, get permission. A few things about this that kind of made me think. I mean, one, where it mentions how, for example, since there are no privacy laws, then what you do with the drone, depending on what you do, could fall under a different type of law. Like, for example, just off the top of my head, if you are, for some reason, going right up to somebody's window, for example, recording footage, that would fall under a law already, which makes me think, then why do you need such ridiculous law saying, if that's the reason for specifically saying, okay, now you have to keep this drone, like, what is it, 100 meters away, 75 meters away, or whatever, just because of that, when there's already a law for that? Why not already just punish people with the existing laws in that sense, correct? I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense in that way. Just an example with the privacy. I don't think you need separate laws. For example, if someone took his phone and started recording someone in their private place for whatever reason, you don't need a separate law saying, now because you used a smartphone for this, you need to be punished in this way. If that person used a telephoto lens, then you have a specific law for that. Now you'll be punished that way. I mean, that's a little weird in my opinion. So again, if that's the reason for the concerns, I don't think you need all these additional laws just for drone specific stuff. I mean, there's already laws in place already. Does anybody out there actually have a legitimate reason, for example, why you would still need a law specifically for drones, like in that example? I've actually never heard of a valid reason for it. To me, it was just hysteria for the most part, saying just keep them away. Yeah, sounds reasonable. But if you think that's reasonable for that, then it should be reasonable again, like for things like the phones or cameras. There should be individual laws for that as well. I mean, what's next? Keep your smartphones 50 meters away from everybody, for example? I'm still getting that no map stuff too with this thing. Speaking of detecting drones or things flying in the air, this one was interesting. It says, drones get dangerous. Do-it-yourself drones can easily be modified to carry payloads or cell tower jammers, and to make it worse, radars mistake them for birds. So just in case there's those that are not aware of it, like do-it-yourself obviously means just building it yourself, basically from scratch up, just like a computer, versus buying something from the store. That's something like I have, for example. And it says here, to discourage abuse, commercial drone companies have included measures like black boxes to store telemetry and takeoff location data, while popular drone maker DJI even requires the user to check in before takeoff. However, do-it-yourself drones which lack or bypass industry regulations in their software can take off in no-fly zones or infiltrate highly secure areas, even if they have geofencing. Geofencing uses GPS or RFID technology to create a virtual boundary. It will trigger an alert if a device enters or leaves the zone. or in the cases of drones, prohibits them from entering the area. And it goes on to say here, Fong Chung-fook, who is director of cybersecurity company LGMS, said drone users could cover their unit with tinfoil to block the GPS and bypass geofencing at the cost of being able to control it accurately. That got me really curious. How would you guys feel like for those who actually build your own drones? If for some reason a regulation says you can't build your own drone, or if you do, they must have this certain specific software in order for you to fly it. Would you guys think that's overboard, for example? Do you think it makes sense? That's kind of crazy though. I can imagine it involves like a computer saying, you can't build your computer unless it has this. Like, in my opinion, it's just a piece of hardware. What people do with it, there's already, in my opinion, an existing law. Like, you do something dumb, then you should be punished. I mean, just off the top of my head, if somebody flew inside the actual airport runway, for example, I mean, I don't care what you're flying or whatever, then that person should be charged. But it would be kind of interesting if they actually enforce stuff like that to say, hey, you're not allowed to fly your drone anymore, like your custom built one, just because of these concerns. Makes me wonder if they'll just treat it as regular hardware or will be regulated like crazy in that sense. Look, there were so many squirrels there, huh? But that was a good example how, again, when I switch to the other modes, you can't really see it, whereas this one's the best for the motion, it seems like. Ah, that's starting to rain too. See you guys later.